Hi friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Angular 10 full tutorial series for absolute beginners. In today's episode, we are going to learn about a very important concept called lazy loading. Any real-time practical application that you talk about will be made up of multiple smaller modules. Because Angular supports and encourages modular architecture, it's likely that you would work with multiple modules in any given application. But you don't want to load all those modules at the initial or at the start of your application. You need them as and when user progresses to certain views or certain functionality or behavior. That's what is lazy loading. We'll learn all about it. We will learn about it. We will master it. And we will also do some hands-on examples to implement it and learn and master it. Let's get started. This is part 47 of the Angular 10 complete tutorial playlist. I have planned around 100 tutorials in this particular series for you. The playlist link is in the description box below, as well as some of the links to the previous episodes. I usually make notes in every video, and those notes are also available in the GitHub link. That link is also in the description box below. Make sure you check it out. Alright, so these are all the topics that I've covered already so far in this particular series. I'm sure if you really want to learn and master Angular, this is the series that you should follow completely end to end. Please do that. Also, if you have any doubts in any of these topics that I've covered so far, please reach out to me in the comment section. I will be more than happy to help you. Today we are on the 47th episode, and today we are learning about lazy loading. So what is lazy loading, right? So by default, ng modules are eagerly loaded, which means that as soon as the application starts, all the modules, that is the ng modules which are there, are loaded immediately. Now the trick here is whether they are necessary or not is not something that Angular knows by default, right? We need to tell Angular which modules are absolutely required, which are not. That being said, let's take a step back to understand this one sentence, because it's absolutely important for you, especially beginners, to understand what this means for you to build applications. In a smaller sense, it might look like easy, right? So let me open that for you and make some notes here, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to make some notes, and we are going to call it 47. Today we are learning about lazy loading. Okay, all right. So that's where we are at. Today we are learning about lazy loading. So what is, so first think about this, that any Angular application is made up of multiple modules, right? It's not single module, it's of multiple modules, right? Now take a look at it, what I'm going to explain first, because it's very important that we understand this end to end. Now let's say we are building a system called loan management system, right? So think about this. This system will have multiple modules, right? Like for example, loans, it will have customers, it would have um, payments, it would have invoices, it would have reports, it would have authentication, it would have authorization, it would have downloads, right? Or admin functionality. So these are all modules, right? These are all modules. Now think of it this way. At Angular by default, right? Angular by default will load all modules in at start, which means whether the moment you hit login, all of these modules are loaded, which makes the website or the application very heavy, right? Loading all modules initially, whether required or not, makes your application take a hit, makes your application slow performance wise, right? Also, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to expose modules which user is not going to use not going to use, or rather I should say user should not use, should not see or use, right? So that's where lazy loading comes into picture, right? Which means initially we will load only modules which are absolutely mandatory, right? Which are mandatory. Rest we will serve as requested, right? So when does a request happen? So what happens is we will create routes, right? We'll create route for each module, right? For example, I will say slash users, right? Or say slash payments, right? I will load this module, payments module, only when the user comes to this particular page, right? I will load this module only when the user will make a request to this route. That means whenever the user will come to this particular route, then only we will load this module. That way it saves three purposes. One, it will save performance of your application because it will only load modules when it's requested. Second, we can verify if the user has access to this module, right? We can put that condition and say that does the user have access to this module? If yes, then only load it. If not, redirect, right? Third, that way at this point of time when he has only few actions would be permittable, right, in this module. So that's exactly where lazy loading is used, right? So this is the entire concept of lazy loading, Sri. If you understand this, you understand lazy loading, right? Now that being said, let's see the other features and then we will get into the hands-on. Alright, so for large applications with a lot of routes, consider lazy loading a design pattern that loads ng modules as needed, right? So if somebody is asking you what is lazy loading, your answer should be it's a design pattern which helps us load the modules as requested and as needed, right? Lazy loading will always help us to keep the initial bundle sizes smaller, right? Which in turn helps decrease load times, right? So like I said, if you see lazy loading will help in keeping your builds smaller. You will hear this word. What is this means? This means whenever you do ng build, right, or you compile application, right, to deploy, you would see that it will generate some files, right? So the size of those files will be smaller, right? Which means the smaller size of the application means it will load fast, right? It will load fast, it will respond better, right? And overall, it will be a much better application for the end user. That's what this means. From Angular 8 onwards, they have changed the way lazy loading works. So if you have, if you are coming from previous versions of Angular, especially before 8, right? So if you are coming from 6, Angular 6, Angular 4, Angular 5, 7, the way we write lazy loading is different. From Angular 8, they expect it to be a function which will import dynamic syntax. Okay, so I will show you that syntax and will generate it, but just remember this is an extremely important concept. If you are coming from previous versions of Angular 8, right? Because I hear a lot of you are working still on Angular 6, Angular 5, Angular 4 also I've got queries, and Angular 2 also. I've got one inquiry from Angular 1.x also. So yeah, I know that there are people on different versions of Angular, but if you are coming from any version previous to Angular 8, remember the syntax has changed, right? Syntax has changed, and a lot of YouTubers or tutorials, they have not updated the tutorials. They still show the old way of doing it. Don't follow that. It will not help you. It will get you into trouble. Please use please use the new um, it's a dynamic it's a method. It expects a mesh, function, right? So new it expects a function. Okay, I'll show you that how to write that. Okay, so that being said, let's see the next. With lazy loaded modules in Angular, it's easy to have feature modules, right? Only when the user navigates to the routes for the first time. Now I showed you this example with payments, right? When the user launches slash payments, he will go to we will load that module. This helps us in improving the performance, reducing the initial bundle size. Um, these are also called as modules on demand, right? So I will show you that in the console also now. All right, so now let's see how to do that, right? So first thing is to create a feature module, okay? And the second is to have that added in the app routing, right? So let's see that. So remember one important thing, the modules generated using Angular CLI for lazy loading, there will be, this is very important, there will be no entry in app module. Usually whenever we create a module, there will be an entry in app module, right? Because if there is an entry in app module, it will load it initially. So for lazy loading module, there will be no entry in app module, which means it will not be loaded initially, right? This is the reason why it will not be loaded initially, because there is no entry in app module. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's now look at how to generate that. That was all about the theoretical explanation and concepts behind lazy loading. Now let's see how to use that. Right. So the command is ng generate module. Here you are first writing. You're telling Angular CLI to generate a module, and then you'll give a name. Now that name can be anything. You give any name you want. Right, module name, you give name here, ng generate module name, and then you will mention what is the route that you want to configure. So you will say route, and what is the name of that route. So here again you will say module underscore route. Okay, and then here is the trick. Then you'll have to tell it which module you are loading it. So here we are saying app.module, right? Now see, this is which module means where it will go into the entry, right? So when I execute this command, it will create a new module by this name. It will add a route in this app routing module, right? Let me show you that now in action. So for example, we will now do ng generate, say invoices is the module we want to build, or payments, or whatever name you want, right? And then I'm saying the route should be payments. Whenever the route payments is called, we should load this module, and it's following children's. So now I'm saying which module, app.module. Now let's see how this works. Copy this and paste it here. Right, so I pasted that. Okay, ng generate module, right? So it has to be module, that's why it failed. Generate module payments. Okay, so now we are expecting it to generate a payments module. Okay, so now you see it generated a payments module. Here you see it created, you can see it here also. Here you see payments. We have payments.module, right? This is just like another app routing module that we saw for app module, right? Same thing. We have a component, it will generate one default component, right? It will generate the following, right? A, a routing module for the module, a routing file for module, a module file, and a component, right? Now component will have HTML file, it will have the CSS or SCSS depending upon which, and then a spec file, and then obviously the class which is controller, right? So these are all the things it will generate and update the app routing module. See here, it has updated the app routing module. Here you see update, right? So we are telling, but there is no entry in app module. It is, we are only telling it to update the app routing module, right? So let's see in app routing module. Now we have an entry for path payments and it is loading, and see this syntax now here, right? So here we are saying path payments, load children, import from that module payments module. That means import whatever it is, right? What this line particularly means is that the first one is the, let me take open the notes. So it means the first, right? Whenever you hit payments now, it will load this module on demand and its children if needed. Okay, that's what that one line means, and it's the heart of any lazy loading. So make sure you understand that you're telling path payments and then you're telling load the children from this module, and payments module, it is pointing to payments module, right? I hope it's clear. If not, drop me a comment. I will try and help you with a better example. Now in the payments routing module, you see we have again routes here, right? Which means I can add more child routes to this payment. Let's say you want to add a new route and you want to call it payment success, right? So if it is payment is successful, you want to show a message, you can add, then that will become like this, payment slash success, right? This is a child, this is the main module, right? So this is becomes, so we will add that here in the success, right? I'll show you that also in just a bit. I hope it's clear how to generate, right? So for generating, use this command, right? Once you generate, you should see that in app routing, right, file, and you should be able to see that in working. Okay, now let me show you that in action. Okay, so let's start our application. These topics are little advanced, so if you are new beginner, I would say please go back one step, always pause it, go through the code, go through the changes done in the file folder directory, and then understand it better. Okay, if you still have any doubts, please reach out to me in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you. All right, in the meanwhile, let me also show you that I have started a new project, which is a MEANstack application on where we are building a complete loan manager system from scratch on the MEANstack. So make sure you check out that playlist also. It will be really fun to learn. All right. Okay, so we have our application up and running. We have our localhost running. So now I will show you inspect element, go to console, go to network and refresh. So you would see all of this, right? You see main, you see polyfills, leads, everything, right? But you don't see payments because now I'm going to go to payments. Now see, I'm putting that in my URL and enter. So you see now it is payments here, right? It is saying slash payments, and then when you scroll down below, and you would see payments module.js. You see this? This will only be loaded when you request this payments. Similarly, I have one more route for customers. Let me load that. No, I don't think I have it. Let me see. Okay, no, I don't. Ah, I have it. Okay, I have it. So let's see. Okay, so slash customers, enter. You should see the customers lazy loaded. Okay, it says the page you're looking does not exist. But we have that. Okay, it's customer, not customers. Okay, so now you see customers module, right? So what you're seeing is now, but you don't see payments here, right? Because payments will only load when you request payments route. See this one, right? It will only work when you request this route. If you request customer, it will only load that module, right? That is because these are lazy loaded modules, right? They will only load when you go to that particular route, right? Now let me show you one more example, which is here in the payment routes we added one more path, which is success, right? Let's go here and go to payments, and you will see that this is loaded, payments module is loaded. Now similarly for child, see, right? So this is how you can implement for a particular route. Now if you are going to a module, whichever module you are in, that module will be loaded, right? This saves a lot of time. Now see, unnecessarily we have not loaded customers because we don't need it here. But if there are some modules which we need them commonly throughout across, we can build common libraries and import them, right? I'm going to show you that also in the live project, so make sure you follow me in that main project where we do end to end. It would be fun. All right, so that being said, this is the concept of lazy loading, and this is how we use it in our applications whenever we try to load or anything, any kind of modules, right? So basically everything is made of modules. We load them as and when requested, right? We'll learn more about it when we start the live project. I hope you will learn um, the practical way. At least for now, you know what is lazy loading, how to use it, how to generate modules, implement lazy loading. In the next episode, I'll cover about route guards, very important topic, because you want to implement authorization, authentication in applications, and route guard helps us to do that. You don't want to miss on that, so stay tuned for the next tutorial. If you like my work, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.